Alright, in today's lesson, you will talk about statistics. Alright, there are a few topics in statistics that you have to remember. One of them being a discrete data, and as the title has mentioned, it has to take the exact number values. And in this case here, you are actually counting. When we talk about it being discrete, you are talking about an actual value that you're calculating, you're tabulating. Like for example, some of you play badminton, you take the score 21 to 10. Some of you play soccer, alright, you take maybe 5 goals to 2. You might be on the winning side, you might be on the losing side. But most important here is everything that you talk about is all about statistics. Alright, later on we will talk about learning how to draw the column graph. We will talk about the dot plots, and we'll have to talk about the distribution of the data set. So what I'm going to take you now here is this. In front of you here, you have basically a distribution of data, something to that effect. Alright, it might not be a perfect world, but it is something similar to this. Alright, what I need you guys to do is to recognize the pattern. So in this case here, do we see the graphs being sort of like quite symmetrical? Alright, and in order to find out whether the particular graph is going to be symmetrical, all we need to do here is just to draw, right on the top, just giving you a rough impression of a symmetrical graph. Okay, this sort of graph is what we call a symmetrical distributed graph. Alright, you will come into this, and later on when you're asked to draw, you're asked to sometimes comment. Alright, that is what statistics is all about. NAPLAN results, SACE results, whatever it may be. Okay, so if you can't see what's going on at the back, or if it's disturbing you, just tell me, I can just adjust it. Okay, that is first on symmetrical. Moving on to the right hand side. Okay, you're gonna have something like this, for example. Okay, again, to know that sort of shape, just roughly sketch it. Roughly scratch it, and you will see that is actually not symmetrical. So something is wrong here. So do you see the far right end here being stretched? Alright, so if the far right end here is being stretched, what we are trying to say is that this section here is positively skewed. Alright, positively skewed, which means you will have this little bit at the end here, or the column graphs, sort of like coming towards, sort of like dragging on. It's not that sort of perfect world you see in statistics, but it is mainly, as you can see, okay, it's being dragged on. So this is positively skewed. How do we differentiate between positively skewed and negatively skewed? Alright, no problem. So positively skewed is just basically knowing that there's a little bit of a tail towards the right hand side. We can also say this is a right skewed data. Alright, it can be said as positively skewed, it can be also said as right skewed. Okay, everyone good with this so far? Okay, now we turn to this graph here. If you said the graph before was positively skewed, what about this one this time? So all we need to do is just to draw something like this. And do we notice that this particular graph is actually skewed towards the towards the left hand side? Having said that, if the graph before was positively skewed, what would this graph be in terms of its distribution? Negative. Good. We can say it is negatively skewed because it is coming and also approaching towards the left hand side. And of course, if you look at the number line, going towards the right is positive, correct? Going to the left is negative. So make use of that analogy and think and put it into statistics. Besides negatively skewed, what else can we say about it? If it's right skewed, this should be a left skewed. Alright, it's a left skewed distributed data. Okay, so right is just basically being skewed towards the right. Alright, the little tail will actually tag off towards the end. If it's a left skewed distributed data, it will be towards the left. Okay, all good with this so far? Okay, we'll move on to the next one. I'm going to stop this one first.